a lot of these companies to locate themselves in Bhutan. The park itself is being developed by a Singaporean firm, or assets, in which our holding company, DHI, Truk Holding Company, has a minority stake. The education sector is another area. Now we are working on a big education city project between Thimphu and Paro, where we are hoping to develop 1,000-acre land into an educational center with hopefully well-known universities or colleges could be located in Bhutan, and maybe students of South Asia could come and study here. So instead of going to England all the way, you could come to our education city and perhaps receive the same degree. That is the idea. That's the idea. So a lot of work is already underway, and we hope to the physical construction of the education city is expected to take place by sometime 2012. So
I have two follow-up questions.
Yeah.
One's based on the service sector. Do you think that revenue from the service sector would be enough to counteract the deficit in the balance of payments? Because there's a huge
No, balance of payment is really not an issue today. If you look at the today in terms of our main challenge is to ensure that we have enough rupee reserve. Okay, that is the biggest challenge for Bhutan. Why? Because our neutrum is pegged to the Indian rupee. Okay. Now this pegging will work so long as we have enough Indian rupees to back up our neutrum. If we do not have enough Indian rupees to back up our neutrum, then we will have a problem, because how is the pegging going to be maintained? If we were to depeg it, it may be possible that for 100 rupees, it might be 150 neutrums. It could be possible, and so this has its own share of economic impact. Now, the maintaining of the rupee peg, I do not see it as an issue, because as I mentioned, today with 1,500 megawatts of installed hydropower, out of which around 70% of that is exported to India, we have reached, in terms of balance of trade, we have almost reached a balance of trade with India. At one time, there was a huge deficit in terms of trade, all in favor of India. We had a huge, over almost close to 100% of imports were from India, and we had literally very little exports. But because of hydropower, we have more or less been able to balance this out. And now we have so many power projects coming online. I mean, at this moment, there are 4 projects under construction. So by 2015, 2016, we would have added another 3,000 megawatts, which would all be exporting. So this will all have increased the rupee availability in Bhutan. So there, I don't see that as an issue. The issue in the foreign currency area, there may be an issue in convertible currency, because today, if you look at what is the source of convertible currency for us, the major source of convertible currency comes through donor assistance. All the support that we get from Europe, from Japan, from many of our development partners that are providing in convertible currency. So these, once they go down, start dwindling, then we will have to ensure whether we have our foreign currency requirements. We will have to have a source, and so that is why it is important to also build up products within the country which can earn exports.
Sure, like cultural products and tourism.
Yeah, the service sector has an opportunity, because this is like a deemed export in many ways. Like, I mean, say you come from overseas and spend your money here, you're basically going to spend dollars. So the tourism sector will be a big area for us in terms of a source of dollar revenue. But we also need to look at some of our exports. And as I mentioned, some of our arts and crafts, if we can improve on the quality, if we can improve on the capacity building of our craftsmen, this is also an area where we can export. Even the education sector, we are looking at that as a source of revenue, because we want to establish Bhutan as an education hub.
True. Coming to the education sector, like you said, it's going to be a knowledge-based, service-based economy.
Right.
And so the equitable distribution of education, if you will, access to education is of paramount importance.
Right.
Now, do you think Bhutan's $20 billion or whatever that it's receiving for the education city would be better spent improving different universities and schools, or building a mega education city where 36,000 are going to be from international backgrounds like India?
Well, there are, it is not like that money is available to us to be used for building or improving on our present educational infrastructure. The education city is being planned to be built through foreign direct investment. So it's not going to be the money of Bhutan that's going to be spent. It's the money has to come from overseas. So the investors will have to come and invest in that. Now, in the education sector within Bhutan, all our colleges and so on, that we have to spend ourselves.
Okay.
And so it is not a trade-off between the two. So it's not that if we we are investing in the education sector, so the local will study. So it is not. There is no opportunity cost in this.
And with regards to the education city, I've heard that you want people like Columbia and Pepperdine and all these places to build centers here, or Harvard, but don't you think that these institutions are going to look at the feasibility and the track record? Like how are you going to offer Bhutan as a happy investment package in a way and maintain your...
Well, we, for the education city project, there is a company already formed that is trying to sell this idea, and so they have carried out road shows in India and within the region to perhaps stimulate the interest of interested investors. And so we will have to do a lot of selling in this. It's not, as you said, it's not. I mean, we may want to have Harvard here. We may want to have Oxford here. Whether they will come or not, that is it's a different challenge. So we will have to be able to address the issues in a realistic manner and perhaps come out with what do we need to do to ensure that we are able to attract these type of brand names. I mean, many of these brand name institutes do not believe in going outside their campus because their strength lies in the location itself. I mean, when you talk of Harvard, Harvard has to be located in Boston. You know, you can't. It's not expected them to have Harvard in Thimphu or in Bhutan. You know, so I think these challenges are there with these brand name type of institutes. Like Cambridge is Cambridge. You know, it identifies with the location itself. But we would like to see where some sort of a specialized courses could be held in our education city. And there has to be, at the end of the day, there is no point in doing, from an educational perspective, you must be able to sell a theme also. You know, Bhutan would be a perfect area to do research in environmental areas. Maybe we could do research in hydropower. We could perhaps do research on the whole issue of happiness. So perhaps in some of the social sciences to do with behavioral aspects of human beings and all, these could all be possible type of subjects that we could also look at as a matter of specialization, you know.
Yes.
But we'll have to see anyway. We've identified education as a possible opportunity. Whether we will succeed or not, this is the only time will tell, I guess, you know.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
Also, employment is a major issue in the country.
Yes.
And I've been told that there are two reasons.
Yeah.
More particularly for youth unemployment, which is overqualification and high graduate unemployment on one hand, and the lack of perceived dignity of labour, whereby Bhutanese choose to import labour from other countries like India for construction rather than doing it themselves.
Yeah.
What is Bhutan doing to address this major cause of unhappiness?
You know, the issues that you have raised in terms of unemployment, why unemployment is increasing in terms of overqualification, and are people unwilling to do the menial type of work and so on. I'm not too sure whether I agree with this finding.
Okay.
Bhutan is a developing nation, and today, if you have professional degrees, you will not have any difficulty in getting a job. Okay. When I tell you professional degrees, what is the demand in the market? We want engineers, we want doctors, we want accountants, we want lawyers, and maybe we want people with business background. If you have the right educational qualification, you will be able to find jobs without any difficulty. The problem right now is a mismatch between qualification and between job demand. Job requirements. Somehow our youth, most of our youngsters are of the opinion that we must have a degree. You know, the selection process that we follow here, after your grade 12, once you finish high school, if you have not made a particular grade, you will not qualify to get entry into any of the colleges in Bhutan. And so a lot of people still feel that they want to have a degree, so they'll end up going into some private colleges in India or somewhere. They come out with a degree for which it's very difficult to find a job. You know, you may have a degree in art, you know, maybe in history or something in geography or political science. These type of subjects are, it is not in demand at this moment. Bhutan is at a level of development where we are looking for more and more skilled people, we are looking for professional people at this stage. And so in many ways we are at the elementary stage of development where basics need to be built up. And that is why professional qualifications are necessary. But professional qualification, not everyone can qualify for professional qualification. You have to be a good student to get a professional degree, you know. So I think this is one of the challenges that we have. So what we need to do is at our education level in school, in my opinion, we need to focus more and more on the science subjects. You know, there has to be greater emphasis on that. We have to improve the mathematical ability of our students, and we have to also improve the language ability of the students. I think these are some areas where the education ministry will need to work on, and I'm sure they're working on those areas. One reason why I find that job has also become a challenge is that traditionally people used to look at the government as a means of joining work. When I joined the government in 1982, I never thought at that time that I will join the private sector. So for us, the job was, I had a choice. Even in the government, I could join anywhere because the number of graduates passing out that year, you could count them on your fingers. So there was great scarcity of skills even within the government. So as a result, capacity became an issue in the private sector. Today in the private sector, we have very, very few companies that have a proper company structure in which you can see that there are, if you join that company, you know that over a period of time, I could grow up to become a manager in that company. So there are very few such companies that are prevalent today. So we hope to address that aspect by encouraging more and more private sector growth. So if that happens, automatically there will be need for employment, you know.
True.
Yeah.
So,
and just one issue with regard to the labor category of work. Of course, that is an area where, even in our farm areas, we have difficulty. Our farmers have difficulty during what is the most difficult time of the year, during the rice transplantation, which happens in the month of June, and that time is very labor intensive, and a lot of farms run short of hands. But in the urban areas, you need people in the construction sector. A lot of the laborers are where either in road construction, bridge construction, or housing. This is where we need them. So here now, the Ministry of Labor and Human Resources is putting a lot of emphasis on improving the construction skills. So in the last 2 years, they have started training a lot of young boys and girls. Some are school dropouts in construction skills like bar bending, foam work, welding, electrical, and so many things. So these are gradually coming up, because this is where today, if I have a problem with the plumbing in my house, most likely I'll have to get an Indian skilled person to come and fix it.
Okay, so it's more of a skills thing rather than a dignity thing.
So we really need to work on the skills. And dignity of labor, I'm not too sure whether that is really an issue at this moment.
Okay.
The issue would be that if I have a university degree, then I would not like to go and suddenly be doing something menial, because I don't have the skills.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so rural-urban migration, like you said, is one of Bhutan's most pressing problems.
Yeah.
What is the Ministry of Economic Affairs doing to disincentivize this?
Well, the rural-urban migration is more of a national issue, not just related to one individual ministry. And firstly, what is happening at the national level, I'm sure you must be fully aware of that. Why is government placing tremendous emphasis on farm roads? The reason why government is placing tremendous emphasis on farm roads is that if you are able to build roads, then people, Bhutan is not a large country. I could live in the rural areas and yet get to work, So farm roads has become an important aspect. It has also become an area where they can deliver their products. All of a sudden now, agriculture can become a commercial issue. So agriculture should no longer be sustenance based. We should be able to grow products that you are able to sell in the market.
True.
A very important initiative that our ministry has taken in particular is ensuring, because electricity is under our ministry, so providing electricity for all by 2013. By 2013, the whole country will be electrified. If you go on a rural country tour, in the early days, what did they want? They wanted a basic health facility. They perhaps wanted a school and so on. But now, in the rural areas, their demand has changed. People want road, people want electricity. They said, if we have road and electricity, we are able to take care of our own lives. In other words, they are able to produce things which will become fetch them money. So that is one area. Second thing, as I mentioned earlier when we started off with the interview, we are trying to place more and more emphasis on micro, small and medium enterprises.
Yes.
So this is an area where opportunities are there in the rural areas. Like if I give you an example of one very poor area called Xianggang district. Xianggang district is one of the poorer parts of Bhutan, but there's one area where they have a lot of skills in cane and bamboo work. So there, our ministry has trained a lot of people on, we have provided them tools. We have also trained them and sent them outside to some centers in India to see how these type of, cane bamboo products are being developed. And then these people are being encouraged to sell, and we have also built outlets where they can sell their things. So these are some of the initiatives that we have taken on. Even handmade paper, this is also a rural product. Then, the wooden flask, these are all part of the rural products.
How would you, it's easy to do this with arable land, but now the mountains are really important for Bhutan's territorial sovereignty even. Yeah. How do you incentivize people to live in the high mountains?
No, I think we are really not providing any incentives to people to live in the high mountains. In fact, it would make a lot of economic sense if people are all able to move in certain areas so that you're able to provide the services much better. If we had all the people living in identified areas, then providing roads, electricity, drinking water, even providing schools, then would be more sensible. In the high mountain areas, who live there? It's only the yak herders. They live out there because they lead a nomadic life, and they are entirely dependent on yaks to make a livelihood. The dairy products and the meat of yaks. So this is what they depend on. So they live there. But otherwise, the government does not have any deliberate policies to keep them up there. I don't think they can substitute for security forces. That is not. But one thing that has developed over the recent years is the discovery of cordyceps.